Ma'ams and sirs, welcome to the Jared Bellmund Show. We are located here at the Center for Arts and Entertainment. My goal is to assist you in your personal and professional growth by talking to community leaders like our guest, David Riddell. This episode is brought to you by Pro 16 Productions. Pro 16 Productions combines experience, passion, and innovation to capture the essence of your projects. David is the former district manager of Trans World Entertainment and the former district manager at Big Lots. He left corporate life to become the owner-operator of Big Frog Custom T-shirts and more, right here in Arden, North Carolina. David's father was an Air Force pilot, which led to his high school graduation being on a refueling station on the island off of Portugal. He graduated from Western Carolina University, which I purposely mess up that name because it's Western Carolina.
North Carolina, yeah. So you slipped.
He met his wife, Christina, and together they have raised their son, Quentin, who is a freshman at UNC Wilmington, and their daughter, Campbell, who is a 7th grader and heir apparent to the Big Frog Empire. Welcome to the Jared Bellmund Show, David.
Thank you.
Yeah, glad to have you. This is going to be an easy conversation because we know each other pretty well. I thought we could start by telling how we met. It's a good story.
So most PTOs are women-based. They're the moms. And in a couple of elementary schools in Henderson County, there's a PTO dads group. It started in one and we had it, so this is 5 or 6 years ago, and once a month a bunch of ragtag dads show up and show, look, we can do this too, right? Lunches and opening doors and helping the teachers, and it's cool, it resonates. And so we got to know each other, and then I decided we're taking the leap to small business ownership, and it's like, what do you do to push this out? Because you were, different levels of dads in their jobs, but you were already on the scene. And so you said, go to FABA. First one I went to 5 years ago, and that's or 4 or 5 years ago, that's the push. And then, hey, now I need insurance. And that's the way community works, right? It's like we found each other through something, and then it just kept on going through business-related things.
That's right. And so I want to dig a little deeper into that because what I want to talk about today is relationships within the community and the different aspects that they go into, where they come from, where they start, and how they should be developed. I think you and I both see professionals pushing relationships to the sale instead of pushing relationships into a mutual growth. So let's back that up a little bit. We met through the PTO. Like, it wasn't, you were still at Big Lots. I was not an independent agent at the time, and we were in completely different places, but we met because we had a mutual of our daughters going to the same elementary school. What do you think the importance of starting a relationship on a community or personal start, or, how does that lead to an actual more beneficial relationship in the long run?
Well, you already said the word, it's community. Because if you're doing anything for yourself, right? I want to be the coolest dad, or I want to see if I can deliver lunches first. That's not why we were there. We were there to help the school, the kids, the extension of the PTO, right? We're just there doing our part. We didn't sell anything, right? It's like I didn't have branded apparel on. Maybe you had your logo. Some of them showed up in shorts and a hoodie and a hat. So there was zero business talk. We were there for a common theme. Right. And then you get to know somebody at the core, and next time can say, hey, wait, I've heard about your kid, or you work there. In business, think about your client. Do you know their face? Do you know their name? Do you know something about them? What's different in networking in business? Do you know their name, their face, and where they work? It starts with knowing them, not how many faces I can recognize.
Yeah, knowing them is definitely key. And I know that you've shared with me an acronym of FROG that I believe your franchise uses.
Yeah, and so, every company has it. However you break it down. Ours is friends, recreation, occupation, and geography. Find the common denominator, whatever you call it. There's, Jim Smeaton's interview was last week, and he's got a CARES, right? And that's how he breaks down what they do. Well, how do you break down relationships? How do you break down business and customer service? If you're trying to sell, then they're customers. If it becomes personal, they're clients. And so when you can find the friend, the recreation, the occupation, and the geography, wait, that number, like you and I don't have 828 phone numbers. So if you came into my store, I'd say, where's that number? And you'd
Right.
go, oh, it is, right? And you
Yeah.
can do that with clients.
So break that down a little bit. So the frogs, let's go through each step and kind of talk about how you can get to know that about a person before you worry about a sale. So friends.
That's what ultimately relationships are about trust. You and I both sell something that they don't need us for. Many people do, right? Whether it's the big box stores that sell everything and nobody cares about service, or whether it's the internet. We're trying to sell relationships and trust. And the old expression of, they've got to know you, like you, and trust you. Well, they can know you by you running around acting a fool, right? And they can like you because you've given them something. Trust is the key. And friend is a hard word because a lot of people throw it out, right? And in uncertain times, it's like who was there for you, who ran away, or who put you there, right? So ultimately, you don't need friends per se, but you need a trust of friends in a relationship. And so it's getting to know them. When somebody's not right, it's like something's up.
Right. That makes complete sense. Recreation.
Where do you go and what do you do? It's like, I'm obviously not the bike riding, outdoorsy type guy, but you can find something wherever you go, right? It's like, even if recreation is the watching of it, it's a sports team, right? You see it on the shirt. But what is it that somebody does for fun, right? Or we were just setting this up about movies. That's kind of it's couch potato recreation, but it's still recreation. We're quoting some movies when you see Back to the Future for the first time after 30 years.
Right. So you're saying it's something that you can connect with that prospect, that possible sale, before you have anything in common as far as how you're doing business. So if you know what they're doing, what they're interested in, and especially if you're interested in it also, even if they're the biker, but you like watching the Tour de France, you can connect because there's a mutual understanding.
Throw out
of
that
something.
name. Hey, you don't want to look bad, but yeah, it's still common denominators, and everybody's got a recreation. It's a hobby. It just doesn't fit in Frogger. That would be fog, right? So recreation is, what's your hobby? What's your mutual interest in that one, right? Because friends can be friends and family, and then the next one being occupation. Take time. What does somebody do? We spend so much time working, some of us more than others, right? Some get to put on their clothes, go to work, and 8 hours later the shackles come off of the cubicles and they get to go home. Some of us, it's like it's a grind.
Live it all the time.
You and I have said, 5 to 10, right? And that's not 5 hours.
Yeah.
So it keeps going. And so what does somebody do? You put yourself into your work, but your work defines you as well.
And then the last one is geography.
I just mentioned that. It's like, where are you from? Like I lived in upstate New York. That's not your New York, but it's still, we can talk New York. And so where did somebody go to school as a geographic thing? Where did they once work and once live? That's a starting point for me. You just asked. I graduated in the Azores, Portugal. The what? Yes, it's middle of the Atlantic. That's a starter. And if somebody can even know how to say that or know that it's a thing, then how cool is that?
Yeah, because even if there isn't a mutual understanding of the geography or relationship, there are questions that you can follow up with, and you can say, well, what are the islands off of Portugal and why were you there?
Yeah, it's not a Jeopardy question, it's an icebreaker.
Yeah.
And in business, if you're the person standing in the corner of the room, you're not going to get to know somebody. If you can have an icebreaker, and so you think about networking, and it's not about being the best and slickest salesperson, right? And business cards are not invoices. So you're trying to talk to somebody. Now, you might be speaking to a colleague and a friend, and they have somebody come up and introduce you. But when you get to say, hey, that game on, or what do you think? The boring one is, what do you think of the weather, right? But same thing, there's an icebreaker of one of those froggish related.
So how do you get to that point where, I guess it's not getting to that point, but how do you be prepared to make the conversation go there? So what are things that you have done with somebody you don't know? I mean, you just mentioned like it's an icebreaker, you talk about the weather, but we're trying to get a little deeper than that, right? So how do you get to that next level question? What are some tools and tactics that you could share to help others get past the what's the weather, right? And get into the frog.
Well, the biggest thing is to be engaged, because if you are, and we see it all the time, you've got somebody that asks you a question that's a completely blank question. All they want to do is get to the point where, it's a question so that you'll lobby back so that the person can go into their 20 minutes sales pitch. No, no, and no. You can't sell the first time, the second time, or even the third time. It's supposed to open up, right? The business card is a connection that came as a result of saying hi. And sometimes you don't even get a business card. You don't even pass out a business card. You see them the first time. The next time, how you been? Glad to see you back, right? You don't maybe not even remember their name or what they do, but you do remember them, and you go up to them. And if they're the uneasy one and you're the extroverted, easier to do, but maybe they're just like you, but it's still good to see you again, right? It's a time thing. You and I have said, play the end game, in relationships, it's not about right then. It's about long term, and care about where you are. If it's a networking thing, what the cause is, right? How about you support the place you're at and the host, and then you connect people? That's the big thing. If you can say, hey, you said this, somebody else come over here, and you put people together, they're going to remember that. It's just like having a client that you can't help, and you send them to somebody else, you'll be remembered even though you lost them.
Yeah, I think two of the big things you just said, I definitely prescribe to. So I never want to hand out my business cards. I actually got to a point where I started forgetting my business cards at networking events, which is not good either, because you need to have them available. But my purpose was to go and learn about others and not try to push anything of my own out there. So I think that mindset of changing from, which goes into the second point of what you said, is being engaged and listening to what they have to offer, being able to connect them, and the purpose of your listening not be to qualify them for a sale, but to qualify them as a human and as a relationship that can further be nurtured. And I really think that that's the problem with a lot of the slimy sales that we see at networking events. These people have the purpose of getting to a sale. And it can't be good and long-term because they're not qualifying these people.
Right.
They really don't know if they work well, and they may get one sale, but they may not get 4, and they may get no referrals because that initial sale that they pressured, there may be buyer remorse. There may be a system or process that fell through in that. And if the relationship's not strong, and I know this, I'm a systems and process guy. I know that my systems and processes break down, and a relationship can save that.
Oh, communication's going to win every time. We've messed up, right? We're dealing with, spit happens in ink, right? Technology gets in the way,
right?
And our vendors get in the way. The shirt comes with a hole in it, or the printer does something wrong, or we just don't think right. We have one of those brain lapses, and sometimes we can recover. Sometimes we can't, and when we can't, it's how we handle it with the client, right? Our process broke down. We apologize. We're going to fix it. Here's the solution as we're how we're going to fix it with a time frame. And
I think that's something everybody can do, but I believe that you do it better because you have Frog, right? You already know their friends and family, their relationships, their occupation, and their geography. You know those things about them, and you can use that built up, it's a built-up relationship. It's a mutual respect to overcome smaller things like a hole in a shirt.
Well, and our county is set up perfectly to be who you are and to be community, right? In a bigger city, it's a little bit more of a numbers game. But here, we see right through the slick person. We also can point out there's the person struggling that this is their first one because it's not that big of a room, even in a 125 person like chamber after hours. Everybody knows I'm the talker, but I'm also, it's like the ears listen when the mouth is going, that I can see everything around, know who's there. I've helped people get connected for jobs and for resources, and hey, they could use something for free, which some people can't, I just get to. And so you start to see the needs of the community and the needs of the room, and when it's not about you, it's about what furthers, in some cases, the chamber, in some cases, the PTO for you and I, in that individual, that business, what helps everybody grow?
Yeah, no, that's a great statement. And what I'm hearing from you is heart, right? So you can teach someone to do what we're doing, but it really comes down to, is your heart for helping others? Is your heart for helping others grow? And in that, I believe that we grow our own business and we grow ourselves. Our relationship started as PTO dads who delivered lunches and opened doors,
right,
and has now grown into two business community leaders who contact each other on a almost daily basis to talk about serious business and life and family things.
Right.
So it has.
But that took we're 6 years in.
And it took the correct way of building that relationship to have a highly beneficial to both of us relationship that is invaluable, right? You could have never bought insurance from me. I could have never bought t-shirts from you, and this relationship would still be invaluable. The benefit is I have a t-shirt guy, right? And the benefit is you have an insurance guy, and there are times that we need
neither
those.
one of us think about it because it's not a big deal.
It's not the most important.
Right. We're also when you get into chamber ambassadors and FABA things, we've grown into, you said, the community leaders because we wanted to. We're not sitting on any of these because look how good that'll look on my resume. Resume doesn't matter because you're not looking for, in our case, we're not looking for a job, but in a way it does because it's trust. It's a trust resume. It's a relationship. They want to know, hey, I can go to that person for more than just what they do, and if their business fails, they're still that person. They just don't have that business anymore.
Correct. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Let's take this. We've been talking a lot about in-person networking, and let's take this to social media or any kind of digital online presence.
Your area more than mine,
but you've grown over the last 5 years in this, right? So you went from being a district sales manager who wasn't necessarily, directly responsible for the minute-to-minute of every store, but probably the day-to-day, week-to-week, you were pretty hands-on, to a small business owner who had to learn how to do these things and has done it well and learned the hard way, right? From actually doing it, failing at things, learning from things, and moving forward. So let's discuss that, because I'm the same, right? I'm just a little ahead of the curve of you in that, and maybe I had a better generational gap of where I came up for that. But we're both on the same trajectory, right? We both know that it's important. We both believe in what we're doing. And most importantly, I think we're both taking what we think we do in person and putting it online, which I think is the largest disconnect I see with most small businesses, is that they think it's different. So I want to talk about how you're using social media to network, how you're using social media to engage, to learn frog, and to connect with the community, so people can see it's the same thing.
Well, because I hire and employ graphic designers, my creativity is in a different way. It's business and community and operational things, and I can see that would be cool on a shirt. Just don't make me do it, right? So when I'm posting from only who Dave is, what Dave knows, and a business perspective, whereas the team will go, that's just not pretty enough. But what I know is, it's not about a selfie that Dave was here. Here's a photo of the place we're at, right? With the auto tags of I was here at this with this person, which is the same way as being in a room connecting, right? It's like it's another thing out there that says, wow, now do I need to be in it? No, I took it, or at least on behalf of the store, unless it's LinkedIn, and yours becomes personal you, mine can become store me. But yeah, it's all about, look, there's something here or somebody there doing something, and so you're still connecting, just cyber connect.
Right. Yeah, and I think what you said about your team wanting to be more graphical or look better, but doing it is more important than doing it great. Just being there has a huge impact. And I really think that 80% of the impact is from just the action of engaging. I want to get into, you're probably the number one most referred person on Facebook that I know. You just demolish yard sale sites and local community business sites, and the things that you do, and it's not you, right? So you have created a culture around your store that the referral is, I mean, it's just, I look and people ask on a random yard, Hendersonville yard sale site, and it'll be, hey, I'm looking to get 3 t-shirts for my daughters. Where do you think I should go? And 30 people pop up saying, oh, Big Frog, Dave. And some people know how to tag, some people don't, but just the amount of people that go through that. So how did you get there? Was that purposeful?
I mean, there's not $5 for every time you mention my name.
Right.
I mean, we would never make it. It's again, being part of something, caring bigger than yourself, connected. We keep saying connecting every single question you ask, but it's an awareness. An awareness didn't come from me going to a chamber thing, a PTO thing, posting once a week on, right? It was, I mean, it's 3 or 4 years of, they gave shirts for this, or their service was great for that when they came in, or I remember him from this seminar series, and it just becomes all different types of places, all different things, and people remember not just as a transaction, but as the trust factor.
Right, and I think that's what's key, is that you have built up such a positive relationship with the community from whatever it is, from giving, from everything. It's not whatever it is. There are purposeful things that you have done, giving back to schools, giving back to nonprofits, being engaged in the business community, that have paid off dividends in ways that you didn't have to ask. You don't have to give a $5 coffee card for the referral. People want to refer you. And I think that's what people have to understand, is that you didn't come in and say, I need a sale today. You said, I want a sale forever.
If you can refer to your competitors, and we have one large competitor that will refer people to us, that means you're trusted. Again, not known. Wow, they're going to do good work for you. I stake my reputation on it, and that should come in a go see Jared for an insurance, or go get David for a shirt, or ooh, yeah, you're looking for a job, let me connect you with somebody that could, even if it sends somebody to the Small Business Center, even if it sends somebody to FABA, right? Send somebody to groups. We know many in our FABA group that they were referred to somebody to the group for no other reason than, I don't know what you need, but they'll find it, right? Somebody trusted our group, so same thing.
Yeah, well, I love your heart for the community, Dave. I think you're doing all the right things, and I am blessed to have you as a friend, so. All right, Dave, let's close up with a few questions that I ask every guest. The first one is, what is the most influential book you've read over the last 6 months?
So you've already said we go way back and talk all the time, and in some of our groups, I mean, we share ideas, and you gave a book to both Jim Smeaton and I, and Jim spoke about it on his podcast. But Find Your Yellow Tux by Jesse Cole is amazing, because it's talking about thinking outside the box. And it's not your standard motivational speaker who threw some things together and how you're supposed to. This is a guy works at a baseball team in college years, or an intern right after, and then decides to buy it and says, what will make it full experience for the fans? It's what we were just talking about. It's not what makes this networking thing to my benefit because I passed out cards. It's what makes this a beneficial thing for the group that we're in and the place that we are, right? So how do you change your thinking to make it more about everybody than you? And that's where Jesse's success is. Yeah,
his fans first culture is just, it goes through and through, and it's different. And I think that book is a must read, because it's not, like you said, it's not a motivational, or it's not like a detail, like this is how you do this specific thing. It is a mindset change of how to operate as a business and what to put as your priorities.
But you and I have also not said networking, we say relationship building. That is relationship building, because his end game was all about everybody else. And guess what? They've sold out for 8 years in a row.
Yeah.
Because he made it about everybody else. This event is everybody, not me. Even
Right.
if
They're
you're
serving the community really
Yeah.
well. And they're putting fans first. I was amazed this year that they took all their advertising on the wall down. And they have like a fan wall now, and fans can go out and write messages. And I'm like, you would think like most business leaders would say that's the stupidest thing you could do to take down all the advertising. You're losing all that money. But they're serving who they're serving. They're not
Right.
serving their advertisers. So
Right.
yeah,
Fabulous.
great way. What next question? What is something that in the last 6 months you've said or had to say no to?
So I got involved in everything, right, for the right reason. Again, community. I mean, and it's a couple of nonprofit boards, it's business association boards, it's ambassador, it's go everywhere, be a part of everything. Yes, some of it is relationship building, but it's also for the right reasons. Because I spent 25 years running around the globe in 1 to 6 states going, okay, I'm at the store and now I'm at the hotel and then I come home and I don't even know my community. So getting to be a part of community has been absolutely wonderful. But the little bit of time we have is with, at home is with family, and then in business you have to concentrate on business. That's why we're here. So there were some things I had to scale back going to in order to concentrate on some other business things. Even though all these things I was going to are helping business because I'm visible, you have to pick and choose. And I don't like the term ROI, like which one's going to get me the most bucks. No, which ones can I be the most use and productive with everybody's time, including mine, because if I'm only half in, then that's not serving them and a waste of my time too.
Yeah. I think managing and protecting the time that we have is very important. I know both you and I spend a lot of time at networking events, and I've noticed that even with my time, I still go to just as many. How long I'm there, how early I show up, how late I show, will be dependent on the relationship building that's happening there instead of just purposefully being present.
Right. Yeah, and we also, from a business side in the store, it had to be things we look at like donations and different discounts, right, and how you scale back, because if you started day one in business with how do I make the most money, you're never going to make it. But 4 years in, you do have to start to say, what is my scalability? What is my ability to give out in these certain cases? And it can't be the same place every time, right? Spread out. It can't be the first one that asks, what's the plan behind the donations? Because with the heart, our plan was, sure, yeah, right? And it's like throwing guitar picks out because somebody gives you a box and you're on stage chucking them. And it's like, now it's purposefully figure out where and why rather than everything.
Yeah, and I don't like to say balance, but you got to find a balance, and not necessarily with ROI, but how can you continue to do stuff for the community? And I think that's the relationship you're talking about, is that relationship has to grow past I'm the guy giving you free stuff to I'm the guy that gives you free stuff because I have a successful business. And the successful business is what allows me to give stuff back.
And when you want to, like in our case in December, there's a school that had done large business with us, and they asked us for something, and they asked us to pay. They were going to pay, and we said no. This sounds like a great thing. We all know that there are some homeless youth and some homeless high school kids, and so it was a high school that did some great things. They were a client, but I'm listening to them wanting to buy hoodies for the 25 or 30 kids that they actually knew were homeless or couch surfing, which isn't good that there are that many and you know it. And they were willing to pay for it. It's like, there is no way. It's Christmas time and this is on us.
Yeah.
Right? And that's different. Then it becomes us doing it because that made sense rather than somebody asked and we said okay, which we'll probably keep doing, but there still has to be, you said balance, whatever the right word for that.
Yeah, however you navigate that, it needs to be navigated. It just can't be blasé, off the cuff. It needs to be navigated. All right, last question. If I were to give you a billboard that you could put any message on and millions of people would see it, what message would you put on that billboard?
So from a Big Frog side, it's your local apparel branding experts, because every printer print stuff. You can go online, you can go to a printer. Our job, yes, we have to print it, but our job is to help you, features, benefits, price, cost, what's going to help you in that situation. So we don't want to just get the end result. We want you to know how you're getting to the end result and it be the right end result. From a personality side, at the beginning, you said, I graduated high school in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. We didn't have 4 high schools and a McDonald's and all of these and malls and these really cool things, right? There's only so many of us. So you had to get along with your people. I mean, you're seeing the same, holy cow, graduating class of me, another guy named Dave, and 10 girls. There's no not liking them and playing social classes. I'll go over there. So how do you get along and survive and go forward together? Now you look at it here and say, this is the perfect community. So the reason of everything we spoke about becomes keep community moving forward, which would be mine. It's mine in trial times, it's mine in anything, because it's not about you. It's about, as the individual, it's about the bigger picture. And I think that's who I've always been, and serving on a board, what are you doing? Trying to help it move forward. Serving on a PTO, we weren't there just for grins and giggles, right? We were there because these are kids. These are the next generations they're supposed to take care of us when we're old. So in all of those cases, we are moving things forward. We are a part of something. So keep community moving forward.
I love that. Well, Dave, thanks for sitting down with me. Thank you for keeping our community moving forward. I know that is at your heart and in your actions. It was great sitting down with you. Thanks for being on the show.
Never a dull moment.
Thank you for watching the Jared Bellmund Show. Be sure to hit subscribe, ring the bell for future notifications, and check out the description for more information.